Right, so today I will be doing a video on prayer rope making, which I am creating for the 2021 Siezd in Australia, which is an event for youth or young adults that will just be covering spiritual topics, and I suggest that you check that out if you're in Australia. There will be a different sort of hub, I believe, in each city. So, yes, check that out, and hopefully I'll see you there. Right, prayer rope making. What I'll do, first of all, is I measure out my string, and how I do it is I stretch out my hand all the way from my shoulder to my finger, and that length of string will give me approximately 12 knots. 12 to 15 knots rather. So you need two pieces of string, or what you can do is you can double each string if you need to double the thickness. So say I had two whites and two blacks, and that would double the thickness. Generally, these prayer ropes are done with just black wool, so it will look something a bit like this. There's also other colors and other sort of styles. So, for example, 12 knots, 33 knots, 50 knots, 100 knots, and then getting increasingly larger. And sometimes on those 33 knot ones, what people do instead of incorporating this sort of silver bead, they'll just create a cross out of the wool used for the prayer rope, and we'll use it as a sort of connection at the very end, and we'll also create that out of multiple prayer rope knots. So, to begin with, I'm going to take my wool and I'm going to tie a slip knot with a reasonable length of wool remaining. I'm doing a very small amount of wool due to the fact that this is just a demonstration, but you'll probably want something more like that much remaining if you're going to do a cross at the end, because you're going to need the wool to tie the knots. But first of all, I just suggest doing some practice on a small string, or a small amount of string, not a huge amount, because it gets more difficult the more string you have to maneuver. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that slip knot, and it's just a very simple knot that you can untie easily. That's mainly the point, because this knot is not going to be incorporated. What you want to do is you want to put that over your index finger and have it such that the black string runs across here, the white string runs across here, and then I'm going to take that black string and I'm going to go in between my my ring and middle finger. All right, and you can hold that down with your left hand if you need. Great. So next, I'm going to take that black string and I'm going to go around my thumb. So I'm working on my left hand, although I believe the video's flipped it such that it looks like I'm working on my right hand, but I'm working on my left hand. Okay, so I've gone around my thumb, just like that, around like that. And I'm going to tighten everything up a little bit. Okay, first step done. Then I'm going to take this white string that's running along my finger here, and I'm going to put it over my thumb. So very simple step, just put it over your thumb. Then take that black string from the base of your thumb and put it over onto your middle finger, and then you should get a square or a rectangle like that. Right, too easy. So I'll just tighten it, and then next I'm going to twist that white string. I'm going to twist it underneath the black string like that, and I'm going to go around my middle finger. Right? So twisting that white string underneath the black and going underneath the middle finger. And when I say twisting, I don't mean as in like twisting, like rotate it like that. I just mean pull it underneath the black one. Right, pull it underneath the black one, go around the middle finger. And now we can see where the white string is connected to the fingers. That's where I'm going to put the white string again. Right, so it goes around the middle finger and it goes into that string running from the base of my thumb to my middle finger. And so a prayer rope knot is made up of, I believe, 7 crosses, 7 different crosses. And so this first cross is in the inside of the knot, which is right here. We can see between the overlapping black and white. Right, so I'm going to pinch that cross in the middle, like that. Just grab it like that. And I'm going to put it over my thumb. So I'm back to a rectangle now, again. Okay? Next, I'm going to twist the white again underneath. So I grab it and put underneath that black, and I go around, and I'm going to enter into the top here. All right, see the top? Like that. So I'm going to go into the top there with the white string. Then I'm going to grab that black string off to the side, go around, and see this string running from here to here. I'm going to go underneath that and into the square. So it's underneath all these strings. Lovely. Now we're on to the final step of the sort of tying stage, I'll call it. So, see this string running from my middle finger to the base of my thumb? I'm going to look for the point. As you can see, there's two black strings going over that white string. I'm going to look for the point where that white string running from my index finger to the base of my thumb has gone past those two black strings. So you can see I picked it up past those two black strings. Then I'm going to take everything off my thumb, and I'm going to put my thumb through like that. Just on that single string that's going from my index to my thumb, right? Keeping this knot, any knots in the chain previously, and this string out of the tying process. All right, so I've taken everything off my thumb except for that one string. Now I'm going to do a similar step on the other side, and you may be able to see this. See, there's a little black string that goes over the top of the other black string. And if I just pull it out a bit more, that might be a bit more obvious, right? You can see that. It's got quite a distinctive shape. And again, it connects, if you can see me pulling that, it connects to my index finger. So you should be able to see the specific string I'm talking about. And so you take that and you take everything else off your middle finger and now put it through again. So just everything else is off the middle finger apart from this black string that goes to the index finger. Ooh. And the white string that goes to the index finger. And so I'm just going to pull everything now, pull everything tight, just gently at a time though. So you're going to have to pull the top of this black string, you're going to have to pull the bottom of that white string, and that just adjusts the sort of tightness of each little bit in the knot. All right, so everything's nice and relatively tight. You don't want to pull it too tight, otherwise it's going to be impossible to do this next phase. Right, so I'm going to grab the strings and the bottom of the black string now, which I'm going to move to the top by sort of rotation, becomes what we use to adjust this length between the last knot and this knot. So you want to pull the strings up until it's touching the other knot. But since this is the first knot, I'm going to give a lot more space than I otherwise would. And so you decide the spacing of your knots. Right, then the black string, I'm going to rotate it again, and I'm going to put it over my finger. And I'm going to put all these other ones off to the side and hold it with that. Because now I will be pulling through this black string here off to the side, this black loop, it's going to be pulled through this knot 3 times. So if you can see, and I might pull it out a little bit first so that it's a bit more obvious. This black string, it runs under a white loop, right? And it forms a cross. This is one of the crosses that I was talking about, and there's 6. So 3 on each side. And I'll bring that a bit closer to the camera. Right? Hopefully you're able to see that it's gone under a white string. And so you're looking for where it runs under a white loop and comes out on the other side so that you can pull it through. And there's only going to be one space you can do that. Now, quickly, I'm going to rearrange it so that I know which side I've just pulled through. And I'm going to put the sort of leading edge, I guess, over my finger again. So just the top of the loop. Because I'm going to pull it through again to its next spot. So there's another time it goes under a white knot, and I'm going to pull this out a little bit, sorry, a white loop. And I'm going to pull this out a little bit so you can sort of see that again. Let me angle this. Right, you can see it's gone under a white loop there. Right, and I pull it all the way through and just make it relatively tight. Now, keeping everything else out of the way, because we don't want that to get in, this time it goes under a black loop. And again, I'm going to just pull it through a little bit so you can see a little bit more clearly. Right. And this final one, just be very careful on. Right. And you can see I've messed my string up a little bit here due to not being careful enough. You can see it's sort of split off a little bit, although that shouldn't be too much of a worry. So you can, on the video, it seems as if you can't really see the fact that it's a black loop, but you can see that it's not going under a white loop like those other times. So it's going under itself. I pull it through, so that's a third time. And now finally, I take that black string that's going off to the end, so the end black string, and I just pull that through, and that's the end of the black stage. Right, make sure that's nice and tight. Okay, and we're going to do exactly the same thing with the white loop, but this time it's in reverse. So that first white loop is going under a black loop. So I'll pull that through and give you a look. And you'll be able to hopefully see the contrast. You can see it's going under a black loop there. So I pull it through, right, and I immediately rotate it so that the leading edge is on the top. And again, it's going under a black loop, as the black one was going under the white ones in the previous stage. Okay, and just pull that through so you can have a look again. Lovely. So you should hopefully be able to sort of tell, and I apologize for the camera quality, that it's going under a black loop. Right, and I'll pull that through, and finally we're going under a white loop this time. So I'll pull that through carefully so that I don't split it like I did last time. Although if you split it, don't panic too much, since it doesn't affect it too much. And this can be sort of fixed as well by using better quality wool than what I'm using. All right, you can see the lack of the black. I'm not sure if you can sort of make out that white, but I think the glare is a bit too much. Right, and I pulled it through, and that's the third time, and then I finally tighten that up, and now I've got a prayer rope knot. So that's this one here, and that's a slip knot. And you can sort of see how it looks. Excellent. So I will be back in a little bit to show you how to tie this off with that. So if you're doing this cross at the end, if you're doing this cross at the end, that knot at the very top of the cross is the joining knot that I've done on this. And so that's how I have created a closed loop. So I'll show you how to do that join in the tying stage. Alright, so I've got back to that stage again with the taking the strings off the fingers, apart from those two that I talked about. And essentially all I need to do now is take that end piece of string, so from the very start of the knot. You can see that slip knot there, and my previous prayer rope knot is on my finger. And so this is where the chain started, right? And all I'm going to do is I'm going to put it through the middle of that loop. Yes, I believe that should work. So I'm going to pull the knot tight using that same technique I talked about before. So I'm pulling these bottom two, and then I'm pulling these white and black ones. Right? So knot is nice and tight. It's a bit difficult to see because there's so much string, but we can see that the string has gone through the middle of the knot. Which means now, if I take that off my finger, you can see I've sort of already started creating a loop. Right? So I'm going to bring this up Right. Excellent. Okay. And now I've got the spacing I want between my previous prayer rope knot and this prayer rope knot. And I'm going to do that pulling through stage again, except this time it's a little bit more difficult due to the fact there's so much string everywhere, but the concept remains essentially the same. And I'm not sure how well I'll be able to show you this on the camera, but if I pull through this black one, okay, hopefully you can see again that I've gone under the white loop here. And I'm just pulling through again and trying to make sure that none of the other strings ever get into this loop that is being pulled through. Right, I rotate it again. I found a white loop that is going through, or going under rather, and so I'm pulling it through, and I'll try and show you that again. Right, that white one right there. I'll pull it through, make sure nothing gets caught up in that loop that I just pulled through. Leading edge on top. Finally, it's going under a black one, and I pull that through. I'll try show on camera again, but this is going to be very difficult to see, but you can see the lack of the white one. Okay, get my finger out, and there we go. That's the black one done. And now, so I'm very carefully pulling this, making sure I don't get any other strings in that. Cool, okay. Excellent, and now I'm doing the white one again. It goes under the black one, so I'm going to pull that through a little bit and then show you. Okay. And my nails are a little bit too short for this, so it's a bit difficult, more difficult than it should be, but hopefully you can see it's going under that black loop. So I'll pull that through. And now it's going under a black loop again. And I just have to maneuver the string so that I can see clearly. Okay. All right. Don't start pulling until you're sure which one it's going through, but by the time you get to this stage, you should have had practice on, say, at least 12 knots, if not 33. And so you should be able to recognize this almost instinctually without even having to look. All right, so you can see it's going under black one again. And I pull that through. Finally, it's going under a white one. Okay, and I'll pull that through. Excellent. Okay, there we go. All right. And I'm going to pull that and close it off. Excellent. So I'm going to show you now what that sort of loop looks like. All right, there, we've got a loop. And I can adjust the length of the loop with those two end things. I just pull them through like that, or I can pull this back here, or just the white, or just the black. Sorry, just the white, just the black. Pull that, so that's the loop. You can adjust it by just pulling this gently. Now, what you're going to need to do from here is create, if you want to create this cross, is you're going to need to create a sort of beam downwards of prayer knots. So you're going to be doing the same thing again, just making the spacing absolutely minuscule, so they're going to be right up against each other, and then you're going to create that. But what I'm going to do is I will prepare a 33 knot black and white one, and it's going to take some time. So I'll prepare 33 knot black and white one, and then I'll have it ready so that you can see how to create that cross at the bottom of your prayer rope. And I'll show you the full process in another video. But for now, you're able to create a 12 knot prayer rope, and you can just end it off with, say you've got 11 other knots, and this ending knot is just part of the count. And so what you do is you cut all these strings off right at the base, and I'll show you, right at the base of this knot. So not too close, you can have a little bit left over. I'm going to cut it close, and I need much finer scissors than this to do that, but you can see that there's just some small tufts. And so what I do then next is, if I can find any matches, I'll show you. Yes, I've got some matches. Okay. Right. I'm just going to burn the ends. Alright, and you just burn them right at the end of the knot, and then that's not going to undo. So that's creating your 12-knot prayer rope. And you can see, I'll just pull it a little bit. You can see that burning that has, I'm pulling it with some reasonable force. That burning is what has sealed it off. So you're ready to create your first 12-knot prayer rope. And so just a couple of comments. What you're going to need to do is get a blessing from a priest to undertake this. And the whole time you should be in a prayerful attitude. So saying the Jesus prayer while you're doing it. And, oh, I almost forgot. Make sure you untie the slip knot once you're done with it. I didn't untie it because I want to sort of show the loop and I didn't want to make another knot. But yes, untie the slip knot. So, get a blessing from your priest to do this, maintain a prayerful attitude, and then, once you've created it, make sure you actually use it throughout the day, whenever you can. And that's actually part of the reason why those 12-knot ones are nice, because you can just have it on your finger. And this is one I made a long time ago, and you can sort of tell by the fact that the white has a lot of discoloration. You can put it on your finger, and you can just say prayers to yourself, and it's pretty discreet. So that's nice. And yeah, so God bless you in your prayer making endeavors. Thank you for watching.